It's so funny when you try to get some insight into injuries. And I know that's what you want, and you very well should, because that's going to affect who wins a football game. It's going to affect if you win money or lose money like Caleb does all the time. So, did you like that, Caleb? So I understand you want to know if players are healthy. And I know that Bru McCoy's injury was so scary and gross looking, you think to yourself, is that a Tyrone Pro throw? Is that even though Willis McGahee and Frank Gore had good careers, is that type of injury? Well, here's the good news, Caleb, is I don't think those type of injuries really exist. I know there's a Kirk Cousins once a decade, but I think medical technology has advanced to the point where outside of nerve or arterial damage, which I know too much about, unfortunately, you're going to be fine most of the time, right? Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. You'll be fine most of the time.
Yeah, neck injuries removed, and obviously what happened with the young man with the Bills, obviously that removed. But for the most part, you're going to be fine. But still, it's my job to find out just how fine a guy like Bru McCoy is, because you have to remember, Bru suffered that injury last year and is one of Tennessee's most important players this year. So, Coop, what should we do?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right, Coop. What question should we ask of Bru McCoy?
Coop here. First down.
It is first down, Coop, and we will ask this question. Bru McCoy told me he's 100% healthy. He's ready to go. He could play a game on Saturday. He doesn't want to be held back in preseason camp. So let's take him at his word. Let me ask you this. Bru McCoy will be Tennessee's leading pass catcher in terms of receptions. Yay or nay, sir?
Yay. Yay. And it's funny because down the road, I'm teasing it, but we have to talk about true freshmen I believe in heavily, and it will contradict a couple of what I would say about those true freshmen who I think will have an impact. But even with all of that, I think Bru McCoy is just the reliable go-to guy. I honestly thought he was the more reliable go-to guy 2 years ago. Even when Cedric Tillman was on the team, he became the more easily reliable go-to guy.
I agree. I didn't think it beforehand. I didn't know it beforehand, but after seeing him play, I agreed with you pretty quickly. All right, what down, Coop?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Bru McCoy will be the leader in receiving yardage, yay or nay?
Yay. Yeah, he'll be the leader in receiving yardage.
I'm going to say no, because I think he's going to be a guy who sets up a lot of big plays via his ability to block downfield on screens. Same thing for runs. I think he's going to be an incredibly valuable player. I think he'll have more catches, but not more yardage. And I think he'll have more clutch catches. So I won't go more yardage, but I'll go everything else. What down, Coop?
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
Is he leading touchdowns, reception touchdowns, yay or nay?
Yes. I'm going all three. Bru leads in all three categories. I'm going yes, he does.
Pretty good. I'll give you my answer after a quick 30 seconds from Medicare Misty. Your loved ones need the care that only Medicare Misty can provide.
19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
Bru McCoy will lead in touchdown receptions because he is Tennessee's, that I know of right now, best option for a jump ball at the goal line when you're in the 3 or 4. And I think you'll see Tennessee do some of that because I like Nico's touch on the ball a lot. They tried to do that last year with Joe Milton and who was it? Do you remember who that was, Caleb? I can't remember exactly who that was.
I would like to apologize. More technical difficulties. My computer froze on me this time, so I'm back.
Do you remember who? Again? They try to throw a jump pass on 2 or 3 different occasions. I believe it was early last season with Joe Milton, and it didn't work. I think it'll work with Nico, and I think the most obvious guy to do is Bru. So I'll take him as most interception or most touchdown receptions as well. Portions of the program brought to you by our good friends at TriStar Hats. For the latest in TriStar Hats, go to the original hats and apparel and so much more. TriStarHatsCo.com, TriStarHatsCo.com. In exactly.
Wait, what about fourth down? Was that
Yeah.
fourth down? You
We
giving
did
your answer was
fourth
fourth.
down. Did we not do fourth down? Hold on.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
Before the injury, there was no question Brew McCoy was going to be a first-round pick, probably a top 15 pick. Where is he now?
I still think he's a first round pick, but I think he's dropped to. Well, no, I think he's a second round pick. I think he's a second round pick. My question to you is, because the real story here is Bruce said he's fully healthy, ready to go, right? Is that what he told you yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
He also said he's trying to not listen to his trainer, didn't he?
Yes.
By trying to get out there more.
Yes.
Is there a concern of him re-injuring himself?
Sure. He's a competitor. It's up to Tennessee's training staff to step in and tell Josh Heupel that, hey, he's doing too much. And then, unlike previous staffs, Josh Heupel says, Brew, I love you, man. You know, like you're a son to me, but we need to have a conversation. Buddy, you're pushing it too hard. And you don't need to do that. Now, other coaches, had they done that with Jeremy Pruitt, you would have just wondered what in the world's he even thinking. With Derek Dooley, you're thinking, shouldn't you be doing some drywall somewhere, which he used to like to do in his free time? And then with the only Butch Jones, you're thinking he has to have some other ulterior motive, like to get rid of me. But I don't think that's the case here. I think that Bru McCoy should be extremely limited in preseason camp, despite what he wants, because he's just that important to this football team.
Yeah, it's a totally different sport. But guys, for those who don't know, like my first love of getting into sports was being a Ken Griffey Jr. fan, and I was one of those who stayed a Griffey fan through his injury-prone years in Cincinnati. Followed him every year during that time, and I remember when he struggled to stay healthy, his problem was he kept trying to force his way back and wouldn't listen to trainers when that happened. He wasn't a big workout warrior, but he was also still trying to force himself back after he was getting hurt, and it only made things worse. And so you wonder if with a guy like Brew, limit him in preseason camp. Dave, I would consider limiting him throughout the month of September, even with their big games. I would consider not letting him take full control again until October.
Okay, I wouldn't do September, but I would do a lot of preseason. I'm sorry if he didn't like it, but that's the facts. I mean, I would have to severely limit him in preseason camp. I don't want him doing a lot. I don't think he needs to do a lot. And I'll say this. I think it sounds good, Caleb, to say, I want to go out there and do it and everything. I'm not going to listen to the trainers, but he's also not stupid. I mean, he 25 years old now? I mean, this is kind of his last crack because no pun intended, because of injuries. If he doesn't do it this year, I mean, if you don't listen to trainers this year, something's mentally wrong with you. I'm sorry. I think that's a statement that's said for fun. That I'm not going to listen to trainers. I'm going to go practice. I'm not going to listen to Caleb and his rundown. I'm going to just talk and do the show I want to do. You know, I wouldn't really do that.
I think you're right. You know, future generations are going to look back on the culture, not our culture, but the previous sports culture. I mean, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even into the 80s, and determine and look at fans and realize you guys were so stupid for wanting your players to play through injuries because of some idea of toughness. Because all you did was hurt your own team. All they did was hurt your own team by doing that. It's like, remember the old days when people were like, oh, quarterbacks are soft, they slide. My quarterback better slide when he's running. I don't want him out and hurt.
Oh, right. I want him running out of bounds, too, and not taking that extra hit for a half yard. And the ultimate example, slightly before your time, is Larry Bird laying on the sidelines for the last 3 years of his career and during the Olympics because his back couldn't even sit down correctly. So That's not what you want. You can't do that. I think Nico's smart in that. I don't think it'll be a concern, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on. But I think the fact that he said he was 100% healthy and ready to go was very, very strong. And Tennessee fans, you should rejoice in that, because as Brew goes, I think this offense goes to a large extent. He opens up coverage on the slot receiver. He then opens up the running box. He does all kinds of things with his ability. He's great with a screen game, as Caleb has pointed out, because he's good at blocking for other receivers. He's good at blocking for running backs. Other than Nico, he's Tennessee's most important player on offense, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not even close.
And, another example of this is Mickey Mantle. How many years did he cut off his career because he played a year with a torn ACL in the early 50s? And, I mean, Hall of Fame career, but could have been an even greater Hall of Fame career. So
yeah, instead, he just poured some bourbon on it.
And probably a couple of women over it too.
Okay, well, I'll give you a more recent one. How about Jason Mitchell? Do you remember him?
Oh, played a whole year for Tennessee on a torn ACL, and everybody loved it, and he sabotaged his own pro career for that.
It's the only time, and I thought it would have been a violation of my objectivity that I almost pulled the kid aside and I said, "You do not want to do this," because that guy was physically good enough to make money in the NFL, to change his family tree financially, and for the love of the game, love of the sport, and maybe the urging of some coaches, he played on a torn ACL for a year. That's not.
Yeah. That is so immoral. And that's not as much as like hurting your own team as much as hurting yourself. I'm talking about players that hurt their own team because they're playing hurt and risking further injury down the line, so they can't be valuable to their team anymore. But you're right. That is very, I've heard that story. And,
was that wrong? Let me ask you, Caleb. And let's not get too sidetracked because we've got a lot to get to, and I want to get there are a couple of different things I want to get to. While I'm not sure Arch Manning's going to finish his career at Texas, also Tennessee's top 5 true freshman. But would I have been wrong as a reporter to pull a guy aside and say, you are risking millions and millions and millions of dollars and your financial freedom and a fun life to be a professional football player, to give it a go one more year? And look up his last year. It's not even as if they were championship contenders.
No, that was the 5-6 team that was terrible with Rick Clausen and Aaron at quarterback.
So why the hell? Why was he even playing? Would I have been a bad person to pull him aside and say something?
I don't think so. I think, you're looking out for the kid, and you had some inside info on what the coaches were doing. And, I don't know if your editors would have let you blow the lid off the coaches forcing that on him.
I don't know if they would have been a big fan of that, but they were pretty supportive. I didn't feel like it was my decision or my point to make. And hopefully he knew that. Hopefully all the training staff told him that. But I can tell you right now, when's the last time you've heard Jason Mitchell stand out linebacker in the NFL?
You haven't. By the way, but another one with this, even more and more recent, because Butch Jones did this from what we understand a lot. There were about 5 players I can name off the top of my head who complained about Butch Jones forcing them out when they were hurt. But look at how Hendon Hooker landed at Tennessee. Hendon Hooker had COVID. Justin Fuente tried to force him to play. He couldn't go because he had a breathing issue from COVID. And Justin Fuente goes out to the public and says, well, Hendon Hooker didn't want to play because he doesn't like the cold. A lot
of words I could use to describe that man, because I don't believe you criticize a player and his pain tolerance or level. I think that's just a no-no in general. Have there been times before where I thought, oh, he's just trying to get out of a game because he's getting ready for the NFL? Of course I've thought that, but have I ever said it publicly? No, because I don't know what's going through that man's heart, and that's not fair. Certainly seemed that way.